My wife asked for divorce, but in court, the judge exposed a lie that changed everything. My name is Daniel, and I never thought I'd be the kind of man telling my private life on the internet. But after everything that happened, I realized some stories need to be shared, especially when they carry a lesson. I was married for 12 years. My wife, Melissa, and I met in our 20s. Back then, life was simple. We had small dreams, a tiny apartment, and just enough money to pay rent and eat out once a week. We laughed a lot in those days. Over time, life changed. I worked longer hours, built my business slowly, and tried to give us a better future. We moved into a nicer home, bought reliable cars, and created the kind of life we once dreamed about. But somewhere along the way, something changed between us. Melissa became distant. She spent more time on her phone, less time talking to me, and every conversation felt rushed or forced. I thought maybe she was stressed. I asked if she was okay. She always said the same thing. I'm fine. I believed her because that's what husbands do when they trust their wives. Then one evening, she sat across from me at the kitchen table and said words I never expected. I want a divorce. There was no emotion in her voice, no sadness, no explanation, just a decision already made. I asked why. She said, "We've grown apart." That was it. 12 years reduced to one sentence. I won't lie, I was hurt. But I didn't beg. I didn't yell. I just nodded and said if that was what she wanted, I'd respect it. A week later, I was served official papers. When I read them, I was shocked. She claimed I had hidden income, controlled finances, neglected the marriage, and owed her a much larger settlement because she had supported me emotionally while I built my success. Some of it was exaggerated, some of it was completely false. Still, I stayed calm. My lawyer told me something important. Truth doesn't panic. So I gathered documents, bank statements, tax returns, property records, emails, everything. The day of court arrived faster than I expected. I had never been inside a courtroom before. It felt colder than I imagined. Quiet, serious, final. Melissa sat on the other side with her attorney, dressed sharply and looking confident. She barely looked at me. Her lawyer spoke first. He painted a picture of a selfish husband who became successful and abandoned the woman who stood beside him. I listened without reacting. Then Melissa testified. She said I controlled all the money. She said she had no access to accounts. She said I secretly moved funds to protect assets. She said I forced her into dependence. I remember sitting there thinking, does she believe this now? Or has she repeated it so many times that it became truth in her mind? Then it was our turn. My lawyer stood up calmly and handed the judge a folder. Inside were years of records showing joint accounts, transfers into Melissa's personal account every month, credit cards in both our names, vacation bookings made from her own spending account, even messages where she approved investments and discussed finances with me directly. Then came the part none of us expected. My lawyer presented recent statements showing large withdrawals from a shared account made after the divorce filing. The judge looked over his glasses and asked Melissa if she recognized the transactions. She said no, but the withdrawals were made with her personal card number. The room went silent. Then the judge asked why someone with no access to finances had been withdrawing thousands of dollars. Melissa tried to explain, said she forgot, said she was confused, said I handled everything. The judge didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He simply said, "Ma'am, your statements today are inconsistent with the evidence." That sentence hit harder than shouting ever could. Her confidence disappeared instantly. The judge continued reviewing the file and noted multiple claims in her petition that were unsupported by evidence. He also questioned why financial accusations were made when records showed shared control for years. In the end, the court denied several of her demands, adjusted the settlement fairly, and formally noted credibility concerns in the record. I didn't feel victorious. That might surprise people. But sitting there, I wasn't happy. I wasn't celebrating. I was looking at someone I once loved, realizing trust had collapsed so quietly that I hadn't noticed until it was gone. We walked out separately. No dramatic argument, no movie ending, just two people leaving a building in silence. Months later, people asked me if I hated her. I don't. Anger is heavy, and I didn't want to carry it longer than necessary. What I learned was simpler than revenge. First, never ignore distance when it enters a relationship. Silence is rarely empty. It usually contains something unspoken. Second, keep your life organized. Truth needs records. And third, when someone tries to rewrite history, facts matter more than feelings. I've rebuilt my life since then. Smaller circle, quieter days, better peace. Sometimes losing the person you trusted teaches you how to trust yourself again. If you're going through something similar, stay calm. Don't perform. Don't chase chaos. Let honesty do the talking. Because sometimes you don't need to expose anyone. You just need to tell the truth and let it stand there on its own.